Hi folks, it's Darren, that Tassie Wargamer here. This table may look familiar, although I haven't actually put up last week's video, so it doesn't look familiar to you. We're playing the same table from last week. I'll probably put that video up when I can. I'm just having trouble with some of the memory on the phone with making the videos. Last week we had some points where we had to, John's British had to try to get to search. We're not doing that this week. We're going to try something this week, and part of the reason I'm recording this is hopefully if it works then I'll remember it for next time. We've got roughly an 8 foot by 4 foot table, so we've got 4 markers. You can see the red, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, roughly 2 feet in from the 2 feet along and 1 foot in from the edge. We're going to roll randomly with 2 dice. We're going to use a D6 and the arrow dice. So each time, whenever we deploy, we have to roll rather than just coming in from a deployment point. That's going to be one of our random points. You're going to roll, and obviously it'll probably be 3 dice directly. So it'll be that number of inches in that direction. If it's that one, I haven't really thought about that, but it might well be maybe in the direction of the choosing of the player. So it could well be, rather than me coming from one end and John coming from the other, it could well be that some of my forces are appearing here and some of them will come on over there. So there's no guarantee that I'm going to be able to have forces supporting each other. The premise is that there's been a big battle off somewhere. Both forces were scattered to the wind, and now slowly they are making their way to the nearest settlement, which is here. So we could get some forces coming in from different directions, and they don't really know where each other are, and slowly over time we could get them, one of mine, one of John's, appearing quite close to each other and having to do an immediate skirmish without really any setting up. So that's that random aspect. Second random aspect, we tried it a few weeks ago with Sedan, it worked really well, is we're giving, each of our forces will have a level 3, 3 level 2s, a level 3, 2 level 2s and 3 level 1 officers. That is it. We will then roll 6 times to see what forces we have. So John's going to get it, because there's about 17 or 18 British elements, John's going to roll a D20. 1 to 17 on that roll obviously will make him pick. If we don't have the units, you'll get a re-roll automatically. If he rolls a 20, he gets to pick the unit. I'll be rolling a D12 because there's less forces, there's less French. If I roll a 12, I get to pick which unit. Also, we have got some chips that we can spend. At any time, we're going to get 3, there John's 3, he can re-roll 3 times. And the other chip is a double up chip. So whichever unit, you can choose to spend that. So if you've got a really good unit you've just rolled for, you go, yeah, I'd like to double up. You get 1 chip, you get to 1 time only, you get to spend this chip to double up that unit. Worked well last time, hope it works well this time. John's just off at the moment, so I'm taking the opportunity to do this. Another random aspect is we've got the bear. The bear uses these dice. We're going to roll. He'll be coming on at one of those points, plus exactly the same as the units will roll. We'll roll for him first up. Once he's on the table, he's got a chip in the bag, or a card, and whenever his card comes up, we roll these 2, and he moves in that direction, that amount of inches. If this one comes up, he moves directly towards the nearest unit, that number of inches. The bear mauled one of my units last week. It's a good little way of adding a little bit of narrative. We've tried using the characters in the past before for sharp practice, but I don't know, I just find the characters don't have enough influence. Maybe we're just not playing it right. But the bear adds a nice little bit of fun. Right, once we've got our forces, I'll be back to you. All right, folks, the game is afoot. We drew for the bear. He was 1 inch from his deployment. We've had some turns, or actually Tiffin kept on coming up quite quickly. In the first turn, these guys deployed directly to there. Then John had a unit that deployed to here from this point. They deployed and opened fire, killing one of my guys. My Indians then deployed and shot at John across here, maybe killing one possibly.
Wow, yeah.
And then the next, my first unit, which are my formation of regulars, deployed right there. John's unit that was there, a unit of 6 skirmishers plus the officer, opened fire at close range with first fire bonus and presented, caused 3 dead and double the amount, 4 dead, 4 dead, double the amount of shock. So already in very early game, before most of our troops are on the table. John, who are these Colonial Rangers?
Yeah.
John's Colonial Rangers have been piled up with shock. 2 of them left, and they're now fleeing across the table. So John's going to have to roll for... Oh, yeah, by the way, the officer was killed too. So John's going to have to roll a few times already on his force morale. He's got a force morale of 11, so he can take a little bit. But early on in the game, that was a bit tough. And we've still got a lot of units left to come on. Game's coming along nicely. That plan that we used for the both random selection of troops plus random deployment has worked a treat. We've had troops coming on everywhere, basically all arriving in the town at separate times from separate locations, forcing really, really early battles. I don't know if I showed before, John had a unit of skirmishers here pop up right behind my line troops, put a little bit of shock on them. John had his line troops here, but the bear moved towards them and has put a fair bit of damage. Not all of this damage that this unit have received has been from a bear, not from fire. John's Scots have now appeared over here, putting a bit of fire onto my guys over here. 2 units right in the middle here that have copped a lot of damage. A little bit of battle going on over here. And John's got some Indians here that have given their powder dry. They can't get moving too fast. So I really highly recommend that the activation, the deployment that we've been doing. It's been a lot of fun. The game is still going well. My regulars, which were getting fired at a fair bit by John's rangers over here, eventually managed to turn and put a little bit of fire on. Unfortunately, John's group that had been badly mauled by a bear eventually got into within range and put a little bit of fire into the back of my regulars. Luckily, my Indians have come across the river and done a little bit of damage. However, after they fired, we had 3 flags. A random firing event happened. It was an 11, which meant any group of livestock within 18 inches would move in a random direction and cause damage to any groups they encountered. The cattle, which were safely over here, were activated on an arrow which drove them directly into the backs of my Indians, causing 2 points of shock. Even though these guys are dead, even though they've fallen over, these guys have actually done okay. These are John's Highlanders. John knocked the table a little bit earlier, he's half drunk. John's Highlanders and Indians over here are looking really good. They just absolutely destroyed my... I had 2 groups of marine skirmishers that are normally pretty effective for me. I just kept on getting hit in the rear and flank, and they've got so much shock now. They're broken and they're just running. He's going to get some... I keep rolling. I'm down to 2 on my force morale. A little bit more and I'll be out of force morale totally. It's been a good game. Over here, John's Indians and my chasseurs have been trading blows, trading fire, and they're looking all right. Both of them holding pretty well. Been a great game. Certainly recommend the random assignment. And that was we see the end. The reason is because my force morale got reduced to 0. On the last turn, it was reduced. I lost 3 of my flags. I got down to 2, and then finally got beaten. My regulars really didn't do an awful lot. Had I made... This is the thing I liked about this random unit selections, was in reality, there's no way I would have taken regulars for this type of encounter. You know, reasonably heavy wooded, need a little bit of mobility. I didn't have a choice. I ended up with the regulars, put them into formation. They deployed around here, got hit in the back by John's small unit here. Finally turned to face them, hoping my Indians would get over in time. Indians didn't do enough damage. Put a fair bit of damage to John. He ended up having to consolidate his formation to one group. But John then charged into fisticuffs, saw off one of my groups with my level 3. Far too much shock. Both of them were obliged to withdraw. Got me down to 0. It was always going to be, because over here I had my marine skirmishers that were also really badly damaged. I had one cour de bois left that basically hadn't done anything after the first couple of rounds. These guys over here were holding their own, slowly pushing the Indians back. But over here, John's got 2 basically fresh units that would have eventually just come through and just cleaned up the dregs. So a good, comfortable win by John's British today. They've won the town, and with it the spoils. So there's lots of barrels of good quality brandy.
Yeah.
Bourbon maybe,
yeah,
and lots of, looks like casks of apples, and probably some ammunition in there too. So the British are going to be well stocked for the next encounter.
Are there any women?
Always, yeah. and some cattle. Anyway, look, it's been a great game. I'll try to run another video maybe just on the random generations, I reckon. Thanks for watching. It's been an awesome one. I'll see you again soon.